He's angry about mortgages. It's Angry Mortgage. He's swearing. He's cursing loud. He's old. He's opinionated. And he's been doing this so damn long. This program is about mortgages, and this is mortgage advice, but the advice may not apply to your situation. Contact licensed mortgage professionals for specific recommendations before you make decisions about mortgages. You may not agree with Ron, but if you don't, he thinks you're wrong. Oh, and did we say there is a lot of swearing?
We are back.
We are back.
Angry Mortgage is on the air every Tuesday. People keep asking me to do the dates, but you know what? I'm not fucking doing it. Okay, first of all, we tape on weekends, or we tape like the previous week, and then we run. I get all this craziness. Oh, is it this week or what week or what the fuck week am I talking about? So no, we're not going to put dates. All you people who send us little notes about putting dates on everything. We're not. Like, hell with it. Okay, we're not going to do it. Like,
we're here. It's another day.
And you know, just listen. Okay.
No one murdered me in my sleep.
No, yeah. There's no further attacks on the house. Okay. But we're not going to do it. We're going to, we got to introduce ourselves because apparently nobody can remember our names from, I'm kidding. I know some of you are regular listeners and viewers. So,
and we thank you.
We thank you, and hit the goddamn subscribe button. Hit it. Just stop what you're doing and hit it now. Okay. If you subscribe once, subscribe again. I don't give a shit. Just hit it. Okay. So we appreciate you. We appreciate all our regular viewers and all of our regular listeners.
Did I tell you this?
What?
I was talking to someone in the industry, another broker.
Another real estate agent?
No. A mortgage broker.
Mortgage broker. Okay, yeah. Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
And, realtors are always trying to get my business, right?
Okay.
And brokers trying to get my business too, because I'm a realtor, right?
Yeah.
And I'm always start with, full disclosure, my husband's William Butler of Butler Mortgage, and Ron Butler is my father-in-law, so you no need to waste a coffee on me.
Yeah, you're not going to get any goddamn mortgage business.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, oh, yeah. Oh, your father-in-law is Ron Butler? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, he does this podcast. I listened to it. I'm like, okay. So I'm Natalie.
Wait a second. Like,
and she's like, okay. And I'm like, I'm on the podcast.
I'm on the goddamn podcast.
I'm here. That's me. It's me. Hello.
Oh, it's you.
Oh, really? That's you? I'm like, yeah. No, I'm just the brunette that nods and laughs.
Oh my God. That's tough. That's tough. All right. But hold on. Like, there's also all the, like, we run a lot of social media, right? Like we're big on Twitter.
Well, the Twitter's how this all started.
Yeah. Twitter's how it's all started. And then we run just quick videos about things that happened in a week, like 6-minute videos. They were on TikTok. Like, TikTok is wild, okay? we're on TikTok now. Well, I guess it's been about 8 weeks, 7 weeks, something like that. Anyway, it's goddamn wild, TikTok. I mean, like, people, like, they'll either like you a lot or they'll say the stupidest shit, okay? Oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong. We like our TikTok followers, but sometimes some of the comments are wild. I mean, they're just wild. Like they wonder, did you actually watch that? I mean, like, or did you mix me up with the Scottish woman who's brewing her own kombucha or something? I mean, like, because the videos fly by fast. But
toilet hooch.
Yeah, whatever. Like, honestly, but TikTok, but when you do a lot of social media, sometimes people just. Anyway, it all blends together. But yeah, okay. So we have to, apparently we got to say our names every goddamn time still.
My name is Natalie.
Yeah, it's Natalie, Butler, realtor extraordinaire. But although I'm starting to wonder if every realtor is feeling less extraordinaire as the days go by.
It's getting rough.
And Ron Butler, Butler Mortgage. Hey, yeah, let's start with that. A good chunk of the show is going to be real estate slowing down. Okay.
Listen, it's stuff. If it's a great house in a great area, it's always going to go. Yeah. There's always a market for it. But when you're, I don't want to say basic, but if your house is a basic bitch, it's going to sit for a bit.
All right. So, in fairness, like August is one of the slowest months of the year.
Yeah, we're coming up to Labor Day. This next month is the kiss of death. Next week coming up is the kiss of death. You don't list the week before Labor Day.
Yeah, this is like the last.
You just don't do it.
Yeah, the last week or until you get through Labor Day, it's like the valley of death in the mortgage business too.
You list between Monday and Friday next week, you're screwed. Like, you just wasted a week.
Senseless. And like, but there's just two super quiet periods consistently in the mortgage business is the Christmas New Year's break and the last 2 weeks of the summer. Okay. So
people are away, getting the kids ready for back to school. You do that last long weekend with the family and the friends.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all, but so a lot of people say, don't try to decide about a marketplace in these times of year where it's very, very slow.
Well, and historically, the last couple of years, like the spring market's always the spring market, but the fall market's being good. So we'll see what time says in September, October.
Well, I think we're both of the same mind that it's going to be really, really hard for it to be a great or even decent or even not awful housing sales environment for houses if you have to qualify at 8% to get a mortgage.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this brings up a big debate that we hear about both from real estate agents and from people in the public and from everybody involved in the real estate industry. Big argument about, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. There's all these people on the sidelines. These amazing, magical people on the sidelines, okay, who have vast amounts of money. And as soon as the prices come off a bit, they're going to jump in and buy all these houses and rent them out. And it's all there, okay?
You know what? But real estate is real estate, and it's situational.
Yeah, it is.
Even if it's not an ideal time to buy, people need a place to live.
Sure they do.
If your core values do not support renting, because there are some people that are dead set against it, you will buy.
Well, set aside that, we got death, divorce, and stuff will force you to sell. Yeah. There's things that force you to sell.
Yeah.
Okay. Or job loss.
It's not a choice.
It's not a choice.
It needs to sell.
So there's always a real estate market. What we talk about is the volume of sales, like how many sales in a month. And we talk about where the prices are going. Those are the two things. And there, as I say, there's this mass of folks who say, well, BlackRock and Blackstone and Brookfield are all going to come in. I wonder why they all start with a B. I don't know. They don't. It's weird. But I know the Blackstone, BlackRock thing. People worked for each other. Like the one guy started Blackstone, and then the other guy who worked for him decided to go on his own and called it BlackRock. I mean, not very original, right? No. I mean, like, what's the difference? Like, one's smaller, one's bigger rock? I mean, I don't know. But but the Brookfield thing, why do they all start with B? I don't know. But the idea is that they all want to run out and buy residential houses in Canada. Well, I got news for you folks. No, they don't. Okay. Those companies filled with very smart people want to buy when the prices are goddamn low. And there's nobody in Canada, with the exception of, I think, New Brunswick, Quebec outside of Montreal, and parts of Saskatchewan and Manitoba. There's nobody thinks these prices are low. Okay. And nobody does. Nobody says, well, buy low, sell high. I mean, there's no low yet. Okay. No. Particularly from people from the United States who are used to seeing houses. Like, I was just reading a thing yesterday. We're talking about places to buy in the United States. The thing is that the prices of homes in Denver, Colorado are significantly higher than the rest of the United States. The average price, they're significantly higher. They're $523,000. Holy shit.
$523,000. I'll take 3.
Oh my God. Like
Evan, Will, and I can each have one.
Oh, Jesus. Like I'm thinking to myself, by the way, that's way above. Apparently average price is about like 304 or some damn thing.
Wow.
Okay.
You know where I want to move? Texas. Have you seen the mansions you can get in Texas?
Oh my God. You know, there's just so.
And then I can have a gun.
Prices are so different, and you could have a gun. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. A lot of people say I don't want to live in the States because I'm going to get shot. Natalie says, I plan on doing some shooting. Okay.
Someone passed in my house. I am training.
Anyway.
Anyone ever enters my home again, they're getting shot.
Look, there was actually a few comments about that on Twitter about that.
What's that?
Yeah, let that crazy bitch come to my house. She'll see what happens.
No, we live in Canada. If anything would have happened, you'll be in prison.
Yeah, look, I mean, we don't wish anything bad on anybody. That's for sure. But hold on, like this is what we got to figure out. That, you know, you looked at some numbers about how you would qualify. So let's talk about what the average price of a house. Middle of notes.
I made the notes.
Yeah.
So what do we do?
We got to start with the average price. Let's say in the GTA. Like, I don't want to do the whole province. I don't want to do Canada. I want to do the Greater Toronto area. And it's got to be single family house too.
We did single family, and we ran it at 1.25,
which I think is about right. If everything purchase price of 1.25 million.
So anything over $1 million, you put 20% down minimum. So
mortgage is $1 million. Yeah. Okay.
We did mortgage is $1 million.
Yeah.
And what did we come up with? Just to live in that house with no heat, no hydro, no food, no car, no insurance, just to have the roof, was over $6,000 a month. It was actually the payment
closer to $7,000, right?
The payment was $6,011.
That's the mortgage payment.
Plus you
got to pay the property tax.
Well, there's only 3 certain things in life. What is it? Death,
taxes,
and what's the third one?
I don't know.
Death and taxes. I thought there was a third one.
There's probably some other bad outcome. It's a bad outcome.
I don't know. And what did we say? So just to support that roof over your head, you had to make $80K net.
So that's after tax, folks. Okay,
yeah.
So that means that, you know, and if it's a 2-person family, your earnings are probably in the neighborhood of $125,000 to net out that amount. But this is the important part. Listen closely to
just the roof,
because Natalie is saying, no cable, no heat. You're in the dark. You're cold in the winter.
You're going to die. You're not eating.
You don't have a car.
You're going to die regardless.
You don't have
heat. You don't have water. You don't have electricity. There is no, TV, which I know in my house everyone would die without that.
Yeah, your husband wouldn't survive long without TV. Yeah, it's true. But I love TV too, so I'm not going to put Will in a box because I do love TV. I love TV.
I get mad at him, I take the router with me.
Oh my God!
I've only done it once. That's when he knew.
Shut down the TV. You know you're in trouble. All right, but like this is where we're at because and here's the wild part: the qualifying rate is 8%. So to find a rate that starts with an 8, but because we got a stress test in Canada, we had 2% to all the rates.
Yeah, we're not saying the rates are 8%. That's
rates
what
are
you
like
have
in the
to qualify.
Okay, rates are in the 6s. Okay, so 6%, 6.1, 6.2. You can still, if you're buying like high ratio mortgage, which is CMHC mortgage, government insured mortgage, that's in the 5s. But everything else is in the 6s.
Yeah.
Simple as that. So you add 2%. This is the rule of this country. You add 2% to qualify. So we're going to base all our calculations on an artificially higher rate, which is going to be in the 8% range.
For sure. And that's if you own the house, okay, and you plan on living in it. So these people that have rental homes,
a little higher.
The little higher rate, and what do they have to charge for rent to pay their nut?
Oh yeah, the rents we do.
And are they?
We do a whole new show on rents.
If you have people that are grandfathered into their particular lease rate right now,
because they're before 2018 in Ontario,
okay. Because it's basically rent control.
Yeah.
Well, not basically, is rent control. You can only raise
pre 2018. Yeah.
Yeah. So people are taking a serious bath if you have investment properties, and say you were in that super low variable and this and that.
Absolutely. So we are.
So that's where we get into a position where things are going to sell because people can't do it anymore.
Well, that's an interesting. That is very interesting because we get a lot of inquiries when these rates went up over the summer, and we're back to rates all in the 6s. Of course, there's some 7s too. You know, you might not. You know, there's possible to sign. I see people sign for 1 year and 2 years that are like 7.1, stuff like that. We've seen it.
We saw on the B side 7.99 all day long.
On the alternative lending side, yeah, it's like 7.5 plus a fee. So, oh my God, it's big money.
People will do it
if they have to. If they have to. So here's the deal. This 8%. And, you know, again, I'm sorry to be repetitive, but we talk a lot about people are saying, well, when I was younger and I got my house, it was 18%. Shut the fuck up, geezer,
you
okay?
Didn't pay
you
1.25.
paid, yeah, you paid so much less. You only paid
$56,000.
You only paid 2 or 2.5 times your income for a house. It's 10 times now. So, yeah, we got to quit all that stuff. Don't talk about it anymore. Yep. Let's talk about the reality of... It's like some of these rates, if you go back to the qualifying rate, we haven't seen these kind of rates since the 1990s.
Yeah.
Okay.
And those were rough times.
And the houses were one hell of a lot cheaper.
And what were we going through in the 90s? Like, I wasn't that old, but I know my dad got laid off.
There was a recession. Yeah, there was a recession in the 90s. So we're qualifying at 8%. And the reality of life is that very few people qualify. It's interesting where we get purchase business from now. In the mortgage business, we're in 3 provinces. Butler Mortgage licensed 3 provinces, British Columbia, Alberta, and Ontario. Bulk of the business is in Ontario. But here's something interesting. A bunch of business now coming from Alberta, because guess what? Prices are much lower.
People are moving out of Ontario.
And
I have 3 personal friends.
3 friends, yeah, leaving? Wow. Wow.
And not as a unit, like 3 different friends, 3 different sets of groups of friends. Yeah.
And that's where we see purchase activity, because the prices are enormously lower. We'll touch on why in a second. And you can afford to buy. Yeah. Okay. Because like 8% on extremely expensive real estate in most of BC and most of Ontario, you just can't do it. It just doesn't work.
Well, with the numbers we just ran, that was just for roof. So conservatively, what would you say, about $10,000 to live?
Well, no,
normal life.
If you break down these numbers, just to the most using lower numbers, using $1 million purchase price instead of 1.25, you have to earn $176,000 as a family income, which is roughly only about 8.5% of all Canadian families. And then it gets much, much worse if you look at pure City of Toronto. Pure City of Toronto, you're looking at Vancouver. Vancouver runs out at about 258. City of Vancouver, which is a relatively small place, it runs out at like, you have to make like 200, family income of 260 odd some odd thousand to buy a house to put.
Well, and when you get into that income bracket too,
that's like, by the way, that's like the 1%.
Yeah.
That's the 1%.
And at that income bracket, I know cry me a river, but some people will be like, who cares? But there are no childcare subsidies at that point. You're paying more taxes and et cetera. Everything's more expensive. So,
but you know, at the end of the day, we've created in Canada an environment of batshit crazy house prices. You know, again, I'm not talking about Caramius, BC. I'm not talking about, Moose Jaw. I'm not talking about Trois-Rivières. I mean, I'm not talking about these small centers where there's lots of affordable housing, but people don't move there because one of the reasons people are moving to Calgary is there is some jobs, and if you work from home, it's attractive. You could say, well, I work from home in Ontario, I work from home in the GTA. I better move to Calgary so I can own a home and work from home. Okay, better off. But the same is not necessarily true for Lac La Biche. Okay, like people just say, no, I don't go that small. Like I don't want to, I want to know where an airport is. Like I might want to travel once in my life, Well, yeah, if you're looking at just go get groceries, it's 3-hour round trip. Yeah, I mean, like it does. What kind of if the lifestyle? If the nearest are you signing up for? Yeah, if the nearest Costco is 3 hours away, you got to say to yourself, it's remote. Let's call it remote. But to get back to the whole idea of why real estate sales slow down, to your point, 100% true. Sometimes there's just a need to sell or need to buy. Let's explore a little bit this idea of people who can't afford to live in their home anymore because, we got the renewals happening, right?
Yeah.
Every week there's 10,000 renewals in this country. And they can't afford it. And the prime rate's gone up many, many times.
Yeah.
Some of these people are going to be feeling the heat. We don't see any real change. There's only just tiny changes in default rates as people are failing to pay. But I have my opinion, but what's your opinion? Are people reaching a point, or some people reaching a point where they have to sell?
Definitely.
Okay.
100%. You get into that. And it's not just the mortgage payment. Like I said, it's everything else. And
it's gone up.
At what point do you just throw the towel in and say, I got to move into a condo. Maybe I don't want to do the detached living anymore. The payment's just too high. Like, this is just not. Sometimes you have to prioritize your quality of life.
Yeah, because if you're just existing to try to make a payment and running up your credit cards, it doesn't make sense.
No. And then next thing, like you said, running up the credit cards. Then you turn around. I have friends in this situation too. Like, everything's getting higher. It's harder to keep it afloat. Like, what are we going to do at this point? So, downsizing is sometimes an option depending on where you are in your life.
Mm-hmm. And I guess what we have to face too is that there's just no fix if you unfortunately tumble into the alternative lending space.
Yes.
If you've ended up with a alternative lender, which is obviously higher than the bank, everything's like 1 or 2% higher than the bank, or you've stumbled into private lending because of some horrible life crisis you've gone through.
Yeah. It's meant to be a short-term solution. It's not meant to be a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then when it becomes a lifestyle, that's when you have to make some adjustments.
And it just comes up and hits you.
Yeah.
It just comes up and hits you.
It
smacks you in the face, and you just can't do it anymore.
No.
Okay. So yes, there is some of that. There are also some situations where people were overly exuberant. People were overly excited about housing and bought some new construction they probably couldn't afford perfectly on the thought that everything rates would not be. If you bought 2 years ago, rates were radically different, right?
Oh, for sure.
And if you're basing all your thought process on what those rates are, and now it's really, really different, it's double or triple.
Well, Will was telling me about an appraisal he looked at the other day. Bought for 1.3, it's down to 1.1.
Yeah, I think it's actually more like, I think that one, if I remember right, was 1,010,000. Okay, like it was even worse. It was like off 300 grand.
Oh,
okay?
yeah.
Yeah, it was Cambridge. Cambridge, and it was the worst possible moment on earth that you could buy. The height of heights in the beginning of March 2022, which was the absolute height of the housing bubble in like housing crazy town in Ontario. Cambridge is a small town outside of Toronto, it's just on the highway, and it's grown a lot. But
no, you had a lot of people. I actually was out doing showings in Cambridge at one point. I had clients that wanted to move out there.
Sure,
beautiful homes, more affordable than stuff around here. I'll tell you that. You got a little more for your money out there.
But some people caught the fever.
Yeah,
and they paid $1.3 million for a detached home in Cambridge, and then prices have all just come down.
Yeah.
They've just come down. And there was a bump this spring of 2023. There was definitely a bump. I mean, rates went down into the fours, high fours, some rates even mid fours. And there was a good surge because credit facility and credit availability and payment availability is really key in the housing market. It just is what it is. We can't pretend it's not. What do we see? We see the inability to qualify for a mortgage for people at 8%. I mean, there's just not enough people. I mean, I think when we talk to people in the office and when I read comments from other mortgage people across Canada, some of them are bank mortgage people. Like, there's Bank of Montreal sales reps and TD sales reps on Twitter, RBC sales reps on Twitter, and everybody says essentially all the same thing. Who the fuck qualifies at 8%? I mean, like, I just have to keep telling people, yes, you can afford a $386,000 mortgage. What the fuck's that buying me? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
I'm getting you a condo.
It's hopeless. And again, quickly touch on another reason why there's going to be lower inventory, because we still, I think it's true to say today in the GTA, The only inventory we're seeing, inventory means new listings, okay? The only ones we're seeing really and truly are people who either have to sell, which we just talked about, and also those people who have got deaths and divorces going on. That happens too, job transfer.
It's listing out of necessity.
You don't see people say, yeah, I'm going to move up to my next planned home. You don't see it, right?
Yeah, there's not a lot of move up.
There's no move up, right?
There's a lot of move down.
There's move down, there's no move up, okay?
Yeah.
So we've radically changed what a normal housing market looks like. And as we talked about, very slow time at the end of the summer, and August is very slow in real estate. But the real question, as you said, if it's dead as a doornail in September and October, that's a very bad sign.
That's going to be the true indication.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not doom and gloom. Like the apocalypse
for
is not
some people,
here
it's
yet.
kind of doom and gloomy for some. Okay,
well, no, of course, but it's not the apocalypse yet. But it's just necessity now.
Only sell by necessity, which means now everybody points out, okay, but Ron, if there's nobody is very low inventory, which is what's going on in the States right now. I keep talking about it on every show. People who have 3% mortgages versus 7.29 right now. They don't move. Like we're never selling because
They're going to wait their rate out.
There's no porting in this, but the rate is forever in the States. It's 30-year mortgages.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's forever. Okay. So guess what? Warren Buffett spends about, I don't know, like $1 billion plus on new home builders. He buys stock in new home builders because the way it's working out in the US right now, since nobody is putting their own home up for listing, they got a 3% rate.
Buy new.
Only new homes is the only game in town. Okay. Now it's a lot cheaper in the States because their land costs are much less. The huge bite of taxation and development fees is so much less in the States. Okay. Like particularly in the southern states and the western states. Oh my God. Like we talk about, they're so much faster. You can out in Texas, you can probably say, you want to develop a new subdivision. You want to develop a whole new, 8,000 homes outside of Dallas somewhere.
And how long will it take to go up?
Well, it's really about the approval process. Okay. So 8,000 homes in Ontario, I don't know, I'll exaggerate. It might take a decade to get approval studies.
I don't think that's exaggerating.
I don't know, but you want to build 8,000 homes. I mean, if you got
10 years. Yeah. That sounds reasonable.
Just to get started. Sounds accurate. So, if I was to think about Texas for a minute, I would say, how long is it going to take? Well, I reckon it's going to take about 12 weeks to get that approval going. Don't get me wrong. We got to dig the sumbitch first. We got to put some roads in. We got to dig ourselves some sewers. But I think I reckon we can get that in about 12 weeks. So,
see, you're going to be so comfortable when I move to Texas and you come to visit.
Jesus Christ, yeah. I mean, I got this pumpkin head. My head's so big, they don't build any cowboy hats for that. I lived in Calgary for a couple of years. Stampede, they tried to find a cowboy hat for me, and the guy just looked at me like I was nuts. This is, I remember because there's actually a cowboy hat store in Calgary. Okay, they actually used to make cowboy hats in Calgary. There's a company called Biltmore, built cowboy hats. Like you could get cowboy hats galore.
Come home with cowboy hats from one of the conferences.
I think, but it didn't fit. It perched on the top of my head like I was one of those clown things with a tiny hat, right?
Like Woody from Toy Story?
Exactly. No, worse. Woody's hat actually fit, but there was no cowboy hat that fit my pumpkin head. That's for sure. So, but bottom line is, I'm not moving to Texas, but
I am.
I tell you what. The biggest property developer in Canada said that when he opened up. Peter Gilligan at Mattamy Homes. Okay. And he said, it's 1/10 the time to get approval in Florida and Texas. 1/10 the time. And time's money, right? You got to set people on this course of arguing back and forth and going to 700 different appeals for bullshit and doing an archaeological study because there might have been an arrowhead somewhere. It's fucking ridiculous here. So, the truth is that, it's just so much easier to build a house.
But do we even have the capability to back some of this stuff up and make some of this stuff easier for Canadians?
Oh, yeah. You can make it easier. Let's face it. This approval stuff is all bullshit. No. Okay. The approval stuff is all bullshit. And here's why I know it's bullshit. Because we built houses, I think in the 1970s and 80s, we filled Mississauga up like they were houses going up like mushrooms.
Well,
okay?
You look at Hamilton. We call them the wartime houses. They went up within weeks. And they all look identical.
All look identical. Okay.
And they're in certain neighborhoods, but those went up within weeks because people were coming back and they needed places to live.
People come back from the Second World War, needed a place to live in the 50s. Absolutely. So it's absolute. And by the way, let's get really goddamn clear on this. Those wartime houses, Second World War time houses in Hamilton, Second World War time houses in Scarborough and Mimico and parts of the Second World War homes in Vancouver, like maybe in Burnaby, New West, whatever the case may be. I mean, they didn't all just fall in. Like the roofs didn't collapse.
No, they're still standing. People
are living in them now, for Christ's sakes. Okay, like so.
My grandparents' house, it hasn't changed since.
Yeah, I mean, like I
think the paint's still on the wall from when they moved in.
Yeah, I read an article the other day where guys are complaining, well, no, you don't understand how these are extremely energy inefficient houses. Well, they're still fucking there, okay? Yeah. They were built incredibly inexpensively. People have raised families, lived, sold, raised families, lived, sold. They're still fucking there, okay? And that is economic benefit. Okay. Yes, the prices have run up through the fucking roof for all the reasons we've talked about on the podcast a million times. But people lived, raised families, left, new people came in, raised families, and the houses didn't disintegrate.
No.
Yeah, they were kind of crappy energy efficient. But we've put so much emphasis on safety and energy efficiency. We've run the price of construction through the fucking roof.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not saying it's bad, folks. There's going to be like 1 million energy obsessed people call and put in comments and say, "Oh, you're stupid. We got to have energy efficiency. The forest fires, global warming." Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, I want to have energy efficiency. It's great. But for the love of Christ, we got to stop thinking that everything has to be perfect. And we got to work with builders to decide what parts of the building code may be unnecessary, okay? Maybe just affectation, and we got to quit finding an arrowhead and doing 2 years worth of archaeological studies. We got to quit like, for Christ's sakes, when they built all these houses in Scarborough, Markham, Mississauga, out in the Fraser Valley, built all these houses in the 70s. Sweet Jesus. I mean, like, the world didn't come to an end. Like, they're not all flooded. Okay, you don't have to do water table studies for years, okay? Like, shut the fuck up about that, okay? Like, I mean, we got to realize that if we've added layers, just like Peter Gilligan said at Mattamy Homes, it's 6 years in Canada, and to get started, it's 6 months, okay? In Texas. So I'm putting my money in Texas, all right? We got to wake up, folks. We got to wake up, okay? And, this 8% stuff on the mortgage qualifying has taught everybody a lesson. You can't have batshit crazy house prices and high mortgage rates. It just doesn't work out. Okay, so now...
And it's going to correct itself.
Absolutely. Now, let me quickly touch on something that's an even bigger disaster that's looming. We're not going to... we keep talking about housing supply in Canada, right? Housing supply. We talk about it all the time. So we've mentioned it in the last 3 or 4 podcasts. I'm going to talk about it again because it's getting worse by the week. And by the way, for all you people who want dates, it's just we do this every week. Okay, so you don't need dates. So we do this every week. This builder stuff is turning into development, new home development. It's getting so much worse. And the big why is it getting worse? Why are projects getting paused? Why are projects getting canceled? Why are we were just talking about it before the show started. We have all these malls, big shopping malls in the Lower Mainland of British Columbia and all through the GTA.
Yeah.
All these shopping malls, big parking lots, and every single person who owns these malls, every single company that owns these huge malls has submitted and been effectively given approval to build massive numbers of condo towers on these malls, because everybody's getting from Amazon now, right? So, you don't
COVID killed the shopping mall.
So, which is in essence a good thing, because that's sensible, right? You got empty parking lots, build some condo towers.
Sure.
Okay, why not?
But let's build bigger condos. Let's not build 400 square feet.
Dog crate in the sky. No, don't do that.
Let's go a little bigger.
Let's go to a rational size for families.
Do you know how hard it is
or
to
even
find
for
a
couples.
3-bedroom condo?
It's impossible.
A 3-bedroom condo that's a rarity.
Doesn't exist. Yeah. So you got to go to a building that's like 60 years old. Which is like a condo conversion anyway. That was originally a rental place, right?
Yeah, and pray to God they have a good reserve fund.
There's that. So, that's, by the way, those approvals are there. Like every single major shopping mall with big parking lots in all of these major cities, all of these urban areas in BC and in Ontario, they're ready to go. We can build these things. Guess what? Nobody's breaking ground. Nobody's even talking about breaking ground.
Because they can't.
Because the devil is that when I talk about mortgage rates in the 6s, development financing is in the real 8s. We talked about the qualifying rate, the phony 8s. Development finance is in the 8s and the 9s. And by the way,
if not higher.
Banks aren't going to give you the money.
No.
Okay. And here's the other reason. Because the bank says, wait a second. We don't know what's going to happen to the housing market in the next 2 years. Your development takes 6 years to finish. And quite frankly, we can't predict that it's going to be profitable. And if the bank can't predict it's going to be profitable, and even you're kind of scratching your head, we don't want to lend you any money, nothing. We want to give you nothing. Okay. So here we are.
Oh, we're so much doom and gloom, Ron.
It's a lot of doom and gloom because we've made so many goddamn mistakes over the last 20 years.
I didn't. Your generation did.
Okay, blame me. I don't give a shit. You can blame me. I can be, I probably, but as always, government and bureaucracy did it for us. And, that's where we're at. There's a lot of doom and gloom because if you can imagine, we're bringing in 1 million people a year into Canada.
With nowhere to live.
And we're going to have far, I tell you what, 2024 could be a desert for development because people they're all in the British Columbia and in Ontario. I don't blame these builders. And, if the bank, so if let's say your banker says, your regular financing says we can't do it. You say, well, let me look at alternative financing. Let me look at these guys who are a little bit, higher price, but maybe we can do something over there. Oh, you're 10% financing. Okay. No, you can't build. That's it. It doesn't work.
Almost in the final quarter of the year. Yeah. Isn't it crazy that we're almost done with 2023?
And everything's getting paused. Every project's getting paused.
Oh, remember what was what the actual fuck? Did you see that's being investigated now? The green belt?
Oh yeah. The RCMP are working on that. Yeah.
So there's another halt.
That's another holdup looming. But the bottom line is no, because of the high interest rates, it's just. We're just going to wait and watch. Yeah. If you're a builder, developer, we're going to wait and watch. And Christ, does that mean that 2024 is going to be one of the lowest development years in history? Maybe. Looking like it. And what the hell happens then later on? We keep bringing in the 1 million people, right? So 1 million, 500,000, 750,000, whatever. I'll give you a cute one. You had in Britain, there's a huge controversy right now. Now, Britain is about 60% bigger than Canada. I think they got about 68 million people in Britain, okay? 68 million people. We got 40. And the people in Britain are going crazy because they just announced that they brought in 500,000. 500,000, not 1 million, not 1.5 million. 500,000 people as new immigrants to Britain.
Yeah.
And the Brits are going fucking nuts. They're screaming, they're yelling, they're it's a big story over there. Oh my God, we've brought in 500,000 people. There's no place to go. The house prices are crazy. The healthcare is doomed. And you brought in 500,000 people. Hey, bitch, what if we brought in like 1 million like Canada or 1 million too? You'd all just fall over and die at that point. It's nuts. Like we got to have.
At least most of Britain is actually buildable and livable as far as land space. In Canada, we've got a lot of unused.
We got a lot of Arctic Circle shit going on. Yeah. But like seriously. They are losing their shit over there about less than half the number of immigrants into a country it's 68 million, not 40 million. Yeah. Okay. And they're losing their shit. Okay. So here we are bringing in 1 million plus. And we're going to shut down new development of housing pretty much altogether next year. Okay. So, and again, don't get me wrong, completions that started 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago will continue, and there'll be new houses. You'll see houses built. You'll see condo towers getting finished. But what a disaster in 2 or 3 years, a total disaster. So yeah, lots of doom and gloom. We might change this from angry mortgage to needs Prozac mortgage, okay? Because it's all bad news. But it is a lot of bad news. It's a lot of goddamn bad news because of stupid policies and bad outcomes, okay? So yeah, guaranteed disaster in 2 to 3 years. Yeah. And we also got to, folks, you got to know this. I want to put this out there because it's not, we keep saying house starts, right? We say that all the time, house starts. It's a bit of a misnomer because what it really is 80% in Vancouver, Greater Vancouver area, Fraser Valley, Southwestern Ontario. When we say housing starts, we really mean condo starts.
Condo starts.
We
seems to be the go-to.
Strata starts. We're really talking about strata starts and condo starts. Okay, we're talking about towers. Okay, or big townhouse complexes, or 3 stories or 4 stories. We're never talking. We're not talking about individual houses. We're not talking about semis. Okay, because that's down. That used to be 80%. If we go back 30 years, we built 80% single family and semis, and 20% multifamily condos and strata. And then
now it's flipped.
It's flipped. So when we say housing starts, there's really very few houses being started, okay? Yeah. They're towers, okay? And Christ, I mean, I'd like to think that we should smarten up that some people want, and of course, every urban planner who spent all their lives in university and government and never worked for a real job, like a for-profit job in their lives, all these urban planners say, no, we want density, you fat fuck. Okay, we do. Is there density? I got Tiff Macklin voice there. So we need density. You people, you boomer sprawl fanatics, fuck you, you terrible people. We need density. We need very much density. Like, we need no parking spaces. What the fuck? No parking spaces? Anyway, so here's the deal. Some people want homes. Some people want single family. Some people want semis. Some people want, and it's aspirational. It's aspirational for us, right? Like, I mean, neither one of us live in a condo. Okay, we might someday.
I don't think we could.
No, but we could. I mean, I'll just age out and to be like an oxygen and be like a doddering, like drooling, witless bastard eventually. And then put me in some condo somewhere, but no, I mean, like, people have aspirations. And there, by the way, I got news for everybody. The cultures, some of the cultures, people who come here from other countries, their ultimate desire is to own a home.
It's the dream.
It's the dream.
The quote unquote American dream or Canadian
it's the Canadian dream. It's the Canadian dream.
You know, you hear all about the American dream. You know, they're going to immigrate. No, it's Canada instead of the U.S. They're coming over, better schooling, better health care, going to own a home and this and that. And then they just get utterly fucking bitch slapped.
Well, here, and let's face it. It's the goddamn South Asian dream. It's the goddamn Arab dream. It's the goddamn Filipino dream. It's the dream of people coming from other countries to say, I'm going to bust my balls and come out to Canada and work hard. And my dream is to have a car, own a home. My kids are better off than I am. And own a house. Own a house because you know what? That's why I'm here. That's why I committed to working so hard. Okay. My dream is to be a successful person, to work hard when I come from my home country, come to Canada, own a home, raise my kids better off than I was, have a car, have a better life. Okay. And if we're going to say to them, oh, that was your plan, folks from other countries? Actually, we're going to stuff you in a fucking 480 square foot dog crate in the sky and there's no parking spaces anyway. Okay. Yeah. So if you own a car, you just order a fucking Uber. Okay. So by the way, this is not a fight against density, even though I get 300 comments that says, you fat bastard, you just love sprawl. Okay. Fat boomer bastard, love sprawl. Okay. Look, we just got to tell the truth someday. Okay. If the fact of these people's dreams and aspirations when they come here from other countries is to have this thing, it doesn't make any sense just to say, no, No, you're all wrong. Okay. You can't have it. I know that my parents had it. I know that my grandparents had it. I know that everybody else had it, but you can't have it. Okay. That's so unfair and so wrong. Okay?
It is.
So let's just face that fact. All right. I got well, it's our favorite part of the show again.
What the actual fuck?
And, I got an interesting one now. So remember we talked about the liberal federal government cabinet, all 42 of them. There's a ton of them.
Sure.
Okay. All these ministers were in PEI last week on a cabinet retreat.
Perfect.
It's a retreat. Like every big business has a retreat, right? They have executive retreats.
When the fuck is the Butler Mortgage retreat?
There's no fucking Butler Mortgage retreat. Did we just finish talking about how bad the business was, for fuck's sakes? There's no retreat. Business bad. No retreat. Okay. No nothing. Like don't just when you on the long weekend you just jump in the pool and hope for the best. Okay. Like that's it. That's all you get.
The
okay.
bloody pool. The crackhead enjoyed my pool more this summer than I have.
Hey, you saw she left some socks and paraphernalia in the pool, right?
In the pool.
In the pool. Yeah.
Anyways.
Anyway, so the key liberal government, the government itself, the cabinet is the government. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're all there, 40 of them. They brought their spouses because of course they have to. I mean, you can't go anywhere without your spouse. It's like they're eating lobster and ice cream and, everything's pretty good. PEI is lovely. I've been to PEI. It's a beautiful
place. Is that
place.
how you judge success in PEI, lobster and ice cream?
No, but listen, I mean, like I'm going to say straight up, lobster roll in PEI pretty damn good.
Oh, it is.
Okay, I gotta say nothing. I've had that thing. Okay, that's a goddamn good thing. Okay, had the lobster roll in a lot of places. I had the lobster roll in Boston. We had lobster roll in Boston, right?
Yeah,
that was very fucking good. Lovely.
Good.
Okay, it was excellent. We have the lobster roll. I've had the lobster roll in Nova Scotia. Also excellent.
Do you remember the McDonald's lobster roll they tried to do?
What the fuck? Yeah,
it
right?
It was the fucking McBarf.
McBarf. It was McBarf. It was like the lobster. It was not actually lobster. It was Alaskan pollock particles jammed into with lobster essence. It was fucking weird. But no, there's some great lobster rolls out east. I'll tell you what, they're beautiful. And so the cabinet's eating lobster rolls and ice cream, and I got having some nice wine, probably not from Canada, but they were having a good time, and they invited all kinds of these people out who are experts. Okay, experts.
Okay.
They're experts.
So what did the experts say, Ron?
Housing experts, but also a particular kind of expert. A lot of them. One particular guy, he's a very good guy. I'm never going to say one bad word against this guy. He's a great guy, Mike Moffat. He studies housing, and he studies a particular interest in student housing. Okay? And he is one of the very first guys in Canada who pointed out, you universities and colleges are fucking nuts. Okay, you're bringing in all these students. You got no place to put them.
Do you know what these international students pay per year? Do you know?
It's huge, right? It's huge.
I just spoke to someone last week. She's an international student. I believe she's from, I want to say Africa or South Africa, something like that.
Sure.
I don't know. Her father pays $28,000 a year.
Tuition.
Not including housing.
Because there is no fucking housing.
No.
Okay, there's no housing for these students. Okay,
yeah.
So we talked about it earlier.
28,000. A Canadian student goes to university.
It's about 8. I think it's about 8.
6,000 to 8,000, depending on the program. 28,000. So you take these people's money, and they have nowhere to
stay. And
live.
by the way, let's do this. Just a really quick list of how fucking wrong it is. Okay, we got all these people stacked up. There's like 4 bunk beds in a bedroom, and the landlords are maximizing the
everyone
income.
Thinks we're joking about that. It is not.
No, it's not a joke. It's not a goddamn joke.
That is a fucking fact.
Oh, by the way, we've also changed the law in the last couple of years so that all of these students can now work up to 40 hours a fucking week because they'd have to try to keep a roof over their heads. Yeah. Okay, so how about this? Federal liberal government, okay? You had all these experts out there that told you it's fucking disaster, that people are stacked up in basements like there's a futon.
That is entirely illegal.
Totally illegal.
Sorry, student housing owners, if you've chopped your house up to 8, 9 bedrooms, I've seen up to 12.
Oh my God.
I've seen up to 12 in a one residential home, in Hamilton.
Yep.
Completely illegal. Good luck. Good luck if one of these students falls asleep and burns down your house. You are fucked. It is illegal. If your insurance company finds out,
reject the claim.
You're not covered. That is, your life as you know it is over. You are bankrupt.
Hey, how about this one? How about all the small towns, university towns in Ontario and in British Columbia, and all university towns right across Canada. Small towns where, like, there's a town. It's a nice little town. I won't say a single bad word against this town. Kingston, Ontario, got a university. They even closed the jail. Like, they closed the jail in Kingston. It's a huge jail, and Kingston was famous for having a jail.
Why don't we convert that to
convert the jail to student housing?
It's got all the cells already.
They got like a jail. Yeah, we got cells. We got bunk beds. Yeah, we can do that.
And a gym, I feel. Maybe
no, there's
cafeteria.
no gym. No. There's no gym. There's no gym. Okay.
Well, so cafeteria.
Kingston, Ontario used to have these completely low house prices, even though there's military there, there's a jail there, but it had completely rational house prices. Now with the boom in the prices, and then we had the COVID thing, we had work from home, all these prices through the roof. But this helps keep the prices in small towns through the roof if that's the only profitable thing in the rental business is student housing.
Well, and that's the thing, and that's why it looks attractive if you're investing. Right now, like we said, these numbers right here, 1.25, that doesn't get you a lot in the GTA. So you spend 1.25, you want an investment for yourself just to pay the property tax and the mortgage. So for this, you're gonna have to rent that house out for $7,000 a month to make any money.
More, but that's the only way to make money. The only way to make money.
It's so
student housing
with the student housing.
Absolutely,
these people are paying what I'd say between $700 and $900 a room.
But there was I think the average I saw was like $850.
Yeah.
Okay, not for a room, for a space.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a blanket on a string and a futon, and there's one washroom for 8 people, and there's a goddamn hot plate in the microwave, for fuck's sakes. Okay,
and we're not talking about a $1.25 million home anymore. You're talking something in the between 7 and 9. So
let's talk about the goddamn evil of this thing, this fucking student housing evil, which is it props up high prices in university towns for everybody. It props the prices, it forces the prices up for everybody in these university towns because that's the only profitable thing there is. It's completely fucking illegal. The insurance, if something goes wrong, the insurance will destroy you.
Available,
yeah, sure, but nobody wants that. Everybody wants to pretend it's a single family home. I've seen that maybe 8,000 times. Okay, so we got that going on. Hurts the regular homeowner in the area, hurts the long-term renter beaucoup. Like, if you want to know why there's long-term rent problems, take a look at student housing, and we just bring in 1 million of them. And by the way, nothing against the students. They just want to come to Canada. I get it. Like, I'm not
want to get an education,
I'm not mad at the students at all. Put that out of everybody's mind.
But shouldn't it be the government's responsibility, the school's responsibility to
provide places? But it's not. Like, in the United States it is, but in most states it is. You have to have adequate student housing in most states, okay? It gets mandated for this university or the college. We got the for-profit diploma mills have grown over here with this boom in students. We got so bad effect on the local economy because it drives the price of houses up. Bad effect for long-term renters because they're just thrown out and we're putting all these futons in and all these blankets and hot plates, and it's totally fucking illegal. It's got deep and desperate cruelty on these people who've come from another country looking for an education and found out they're going to have to work like slaves in the Shell convenience store and while they're also trying to study, and because they need to make enough money to afford this goddamn shit of these super high rents. Nobody expected it when they came here, and it's a general disaster. The cabinet meets in PEI, sucking back lobster rolls and ice cream, drinking a little bit of a good Chardonnay, and have all these experts in, tell them how wrong it is. Big meetings come to an end. They line up and say what all the ministers line up. The prime minister shows up.
What was the solution?
Nothing.
Great.
Fuck all, nothing. Okay, they thought there might be an announcement of a tiny reduction of student visas.
Oh.
Didn't happen. Prime Minister trots out and says, we are very concerned about the price of homes for Canadians. We know how difficult it is going to be. I don't do a very good Trudeau, okay? But my Tiff Macklin, from my fake Tiff Macklin, is much better.
Tiff is good.
But nothing. Nada, zip, zero, zilch, fuck all, zero, okay? Have your experts in. You know you're in trouble on housing. You know how wrong it is. Just have mercy on these poor foreign students. Fuck all, zero happened, okay?
Great.
Nothing. Hey, Government of Canada, you're in charge of immigration. Everybody says, "Oh, Ron, you're ignorant. You don't realize it's provinces. Provinces are in charge of housing, municipalities." Okay, but the federal government is 1,000% in charge of immigration. They are totally in charge of it. It's their thing, nobody else's. 850 students coming in from foreign countries, and you're just abusing them, you sons of bitches. Okay, so. There's my what the actual fuck. What the actual fuck is wrong with you governments that you either don't tell these universities you got to build, you bastards, out of your own budget, which you've feathered your nest with these expensive tuitions, or we're going to cut back. We're not going to abuse these kids anymore. Let's just fucking do something as opposed to doing nothing. All right, that's what the actual fuck is for today. Next show is going to be a lot about private mortgages because we see some fuckery going on in private mortgages like you wouldn't believe. Okay.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Some dirty ones out there.
Next time.
If you like the pod, well, don't just sit there. Go to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and all the other ones and like the pod. And don't forget to subscribe so we can keep being angry at mortgages and swearing about mortgages. Angry Mortgage could use your support.